The date is April 2023. I'm sitting at my desk, I'm revising for some upcoming exams, some GCSE exams that will be starting in May the next month, and not more than a few meters behind me, I have some nice sweet treats and snacks. I have my favourite biscuits, I have loads of chocolate eggs from Easter, and I have a few packets of sweets just up on this shelf, not more than a few meters behind me, on my bedroom wall. And they've been there for quite a while. I've not really taken much notice to them. When I get home from school now, I end up just working out in the gym, coming in from the garage, eating, and then just studying for the last 2 hours of my day before I go to sleep at quite an early time, which does work for me personally. And these sweet treats have just been laying there on my shelf for ages, and I've not really taken all that much notice of them whatsoever. I haven't really given it all that much thought. I haven't had to use that much willpower to sort of make sure that they're sort of not in like my memory and in my thought, and I'm not having to resist these urges to eat a lot of sugar. I'm just kind of going about my daily life, having a nice healthy diet and just doing what I know is good for me. But there was one day where these urges just overcome me. I'm sort of told that I should just eat these sort of chocolate eggs, I should just eat these sort of sugary biscuits by people that I know who are just like in my house that day, and I end up succumbing to the social validation, and I end up eating just one of these Lotus biscuits, which are my personal favourite biscuits, which I've always liked ever since I was a child. But the problem is that one turns into two, and two turns into four, four turns into eight, and before you know it, I have finished the entire packet of biscuits, and that is probably around 24 or something entire biscuits inside of my internal systems that don't really contain any nutrients at all and are just completely empty calories that are going to be very, very unhealthy for me in the future. And before I succumbed to the social validation and ate these biscuits, it turns out that I did have to use a lot of willpower, and after this event I went on my sugar fast, which I've talked about a lot on these videos, where I simply just cut out every single bit of sugar from my life. But what if I took the generic path where people say just don't buy sugary stuff in the grocery store anymore? The problem is that despite the fact that I was a kid and my parents and stuff get food, and they buy things like crisps or whatever and biscuits and stuff, and that means that I can't really sort of implement that advice. What if I did do that advice? What if I did just get rid of every single sugary snack from my environment? The problem with doing that is that if I was then offered a Lotus biscuit or a chocolate bar or a sugary snack when I went out with friends or whatever, I wouldn't have been able to resist it. I would not have had the willpower to resist the social validation and resist the sugary thing in general, and the whole Lotus biscuits thing would end up happening again. And once you have one little thing, you'll end up having more and more and more from your friends that offered you the first thing in the first place, and then your diet will be broken. You would have ended up buying things the next time you go to the grocery store, and you have completely failed at your sugar fast and your diet. And this is what happens to so many people because they don't understand the concept of willpower training. And willpower training is a very, very, very simple thing, which I sort of inadvertently did when all these sugary sweets were up on my wall and up on my shelf back when I had started to be going to like the gym and working out and eating more healthily, studying and doing all these good habits that I knew would be beneficial to me in the long term, and just kind of really forgetting that these sweets were even really there, to be honest. And I'm just going to go through a step-by-step guide just in the next 2 minutes or so to how you can complete and do willpower training effectively. And the first step is to buy your most favorite thing that you like to indulge in from the grocery store. Maybe it is the Lotus biscuits. For me, it has been the Lotus biscuits ever since I was a kid. For you, it may be a packet of Haribos, it may be a chocolate bar, it may be a packet of crisps, or another packet of biscuits that's not Lotus. Whatever it is, buy it from the grocery store, and then when you get home, the second step is to put that favorite thing on your desk or on your workplace where you spend the most time of your day. And I just want you to sort of stare at that thing, stare at the packet of sweets, the Haribos, the chocolate, and just ask yourself, why does this thing have power over me? Why am I so addicted to this thing? Because sugar is quite a potent stimulant. That's why you're very addictive. It releases a lot of dopamine. And then you realize when you sort of get the causes down onto paper, onto your journal, you'll realize why this stuff has power over you, and you will just end up sort of trying to get the addiction out of your head and start to sort of resist these urges and temptations so much more, because your favorite thing is there right in front of you, and you're just not letting it have power over you anymore. And then when you're sitting on your desk or studying, you're doing your work or whatever it is that you sort of do when you sit at your desk, you'll end up sort of glancing out the corner of your eye. You see the little packet of sweets, packet of biscuits there in the corner of your desk that's been kept there for so long, and you may get an urge, a temptation. You just sort of say, oh well, I bought it, I might as well just eat it now, it's been like a month or whatever. And every time you sort of get those excusey coping thoughts, you do the same thing again. You say, why does this thing have power over me? And you just repeat that every single time you get a little urge and a little bit of temptation, and your willpower will absolutely skyrocket. And that means that when you next go to a social event and you're offered like a bar of sweets, or not bar of sweets, a bar of chocolate or a packet of sweets, you'll end up being able to say, no, I don't want that. And that will mean that throughout the rest of your life, you will be saved from repeating this sort of vicious cycle of breaking your diet because you were offered something by people in your workplace or in just a social gathering. But this doesn't have to apply to things like sugar. It can apply to absolutely any substance addiction that you may have. It could be, for instance, vaping, smoking cigarettes, alcohol. You can put whatever you like so much sort of on your desk, on your workplace, and just say, why does this thing have power over me? Maybe it's the nicotine that's really quite a potent brain stimulant, and your brain cells get a dependence on the nicotine, and this means that you end up having to go back over it again and again and again. That's why it has power over you. And once you analyze the causes, analyze the reasons, you'll end up being able to sort of use your willpower so much more effectively to just resist this thing that is in front of you and that has a lot of power over you. And you can apply it to absolutely anything: caffeine, social media, alcohol, as I said before. Anything that you sort of are quite addicted to, you can use this willpower training technique to absolutely skyrocket your willpower, which will not only help for that specific thing, but also just for your general willpower, which will mean that you'll be able to resist any sort of other thing. If you did your willpower training for sugar, you may be able to resist other things like drugs in the future at parties. And trust me, just try this thing once or twice and your willpower will benefit so much, and you will benefit so much in the long term. But yeah, with that, I recommend subscribing, because I love this community of young tribal people who are willing to improve themselves so much more than you already have. And please join the Discord community, which is in the link down below in the description, and good luck.